All right. Hey guys, it's Michael, and this is my slide presentation on economic security. To start out with, what is it? What are the definitions? I found a pretty good one from the INRC. It's the Association for Red Cross, and I thought they do a really good job of defining it. I won't read it all right now, but the big things to remember is that economic security is the ability for individuals, households, communities to cover their essential needs and sustainability with dignity. And then further on down the line in their definition, I really like that they talk about that it can sometimes depend on prevailing cultural standards, which is something that's really big within Alaska. We don't have a area or communities that are like most of the U.S., and so they have particular needs that need to be met that other communities just don't see or have to deal with along other standards. So for my community, I decided to go back to Savunga. It's over on St. Lawrence Island, as I already explained. It shares it with Gamble. Uh, it's got a relatively small population, under 1,000, and this is where it's predominantly Yupik Eskimos that still practice their native language. They're 164 miles away from Nome. They got some distance, and the only way to get things in and out really are by plane or boat. Uh, and this is, as we talked about before with Angska, uh, this is the island that decided they're not going to participate. And so, together with Gamble, they cooperate and own St. Lawrence Island themselves. So, their current situation, obviously, it's a smaller community. They're really based off of whaling and fishing, with it being around them entirely. But they do have some problems. In the past years, they've seen a huge decrease in job creation now and in the future. But then they've also seen low income numbers compared to the rest of the US. And then also, their unemployment rate is extremely high when you take into account their population and how many in there uh, are truly unemployed or don't make an income. So some statistics on the side that I have, unemployment in the community is 11.9. Nationally in the U.S., that is 3.7. So if you look at a community that does not even have 1,000 people, they have 739 approximately as of last year. 11.9 is a very huge percentage of the population that is not working or not making an income. Uh, when we go to rated jobs in the future being created, this is just what the people can expect to be having sooner, as means of maybe combating that unemployment. But instead of seeing that, they have a rate of 9.6, whereas rest of the U.S. the average is 33.5%, meaning you're not going to get that unemployment rate down if new jobs and future jobs are not going to be coming in. And then finally, I went ahead and I put down the income. One thing I like to mention is that obviously you have to take into account that some things are not purchased through their community. Also, they do not have sales or income tax. That's another huge thing that people don't always recognize. But as a total, for individual annual income, it is about $7,500 versus $28,500 for the national average. So you have to see that, with that low income amount, what is the community able to do? What are they able to afford? I got this really good website that was able to compare costs between different communities all throughout the United States. And so I decided to just look from where we are right now in Fairbanks to Savunga and see kind of what the difference is. Uh, I won't go over all of these, but the big ones that you can really see, food and groceries. We always say that the impacts of one security are going to impact another. This is one that is very true. Food and groceries is about 25.7% higher in Savunga, meaning that you have to get all of your food from the land or from your area or else it's going to be very costly. Not everybody has that expense or the money to pay for that expense. Home costs are significantly lower in Savunga than they are in Fairbanks. But what are you able to get in Savunga? That's the problem. Is what is the means of life? What is the cultural representation in Savunga compared to some of these bigger cities like Fairbanks? And then one more very huge one that I saw was utilities. Is 46.2% higher in Savunga. So you see that sometimes we have lower costs in Fairbanks, but when you look at Savunga, they're really struggling with some of these things that they don't have access to, that are extremely expensive because of the way they have to transport them out to the community. And that's something that really needs to be looked at. As I was saying with food security, one of their biggest means of getting in food that also produces some economics for them is the seal whale industry, since they live on St. Lawrence Island. And now with sea ice melting and not being as reliable, they're finding that they have to make their money some other way and also get their food from another resource. If you're unable to go out and fish or whale as you normally are, what are your other alternatives that you can use to feed your family? Because getting food shipped in is too expensive. And then lower income affects the ability to create income and have health needs met. This basically just means that people do get sick, especially in this COVID time, which I always like to cover one slide normally in my PowerPoints. You see that getting in some of those resources, just like food, just like some of the other utilities, it's not easy to get those medical supplies in. It's expensive. And so that means having the ability to pay for it, make it effectively cheap or costly cheap for the community. Solutions in the works. So the biggest one that I found personally was that Savunga has found that, okay, yes, the whaling industry may be a little in need right now. So what else can we do? What they have done is actually in partnership with the University of Alaska 4 years ago, they went ahead and they opened up 2 processing plants for reindeer. And you can see it in the bottom corner there. And they can do 16 reindeers at a time. This helps them push out reindeer. They have orders that come in from everywhere from Fairbanks to Washington, even Australia, which has caused the chiefs of the area to kind of say, hey, I think there is a need, a want for commercial game here. So they've actually been discussing to improve both their food security and their economic security, opening up commercial plants for reindeers. Since they have such a high number of reindeers and such a high demand, they can make a great profit off of that to benefit the community. It would also help take that unemployment rate and that future job growth number that are super low, could help make unemployment go lower, job growths go higher. And these are my references. Biggest one is the ICRC, which is the one that gave me the definition for the economic security. And then the other 2 were really helpful to talk about the reindeer processing plants and kind of what can be brought into Savunga to not disrupt their cultural practices, but still make sure that they're living a safe, healthy, and secure life. I think that's it, but I will see you guys in class Tuesday.